Content shared on the Pexip service may be received in two ways. Single-screen endpoints, using the adaptive composition or the Teams-like layout, will typically receive the presentation stream as part of the layout mix. Dual-screen endpoints, or any endpoints using a non-adaptive layout, receive the presentation as a separate stream. Here are some common symptoms of content sharing issues. A participant is sharing content, but your endpoint's layout does not change, and no content is received. Content works initially, but later fails to be received when initiating a new share. It's only possible to receive content after you have shared content first. The layout changes to suggest content is being shared, but no content media is received. Before troubleshooting, you should gather useful information to understand the exact failure scenario. Establish the facts. Which conference was affected, who was the presenter, and which participants did not receive content? Have local endpoint issues been ruled out, for example, HDMI issues? There are documented solutions to common content sharing issues, which can be found at help.pexip.com. The information has been gathered over time, from many examples of content sharing problems observed by the support team. Firewalls are a common culprit. The content channel uses the same UDP port ranges as audio and video. However, the content media stream is ad hoc, only utilized when content is being shared. The content channel is negotiated via SIP BFCP, Binary Floor Control Protocol, which is UDP-based. It may be that the two-way BFCP communications between the video endpoint to the Pexip service is being closed prematurely when the firewall's default UDP session timer is used. The solution is to increase the UDP session timeout from the firewall's default value for UDP port range 10,000 to 65,535. For Palo Alto firewalls, increase the UDP session timeout from the default 30-second value to 600 seconds. For UDP port range 10,000 to 65,535. It's also recommended to disable the application filtering setting on the firewall, which may be referred to as SIP ALG. For other firewall vendors, the UDP session timeout should be increased to 180 seconds for UDP port range 10,000 to 65,535. Similarly, it's recommended that application filtering settings on the firewall, SIP ALG, or similar functions are disabled. The firewall might also be configured by default to perform inspection on SIP and H.323 traffic, which could cause issues. It's often necessary for inspection of SIP and H.323 ports to be disabled. For Palo Alto, it can be found in the Palo Guard. Content issues can also be related to endpoint configuration. If a poly endpoint can only receive content successfully after first sending content into the call, then this is likely due to firewall keep alive issues. As presentation is unidirectional, endpoints should send 0-byte RTP pinhole packets to ensure that the firewall ports are opened and NAT bindings are set. Ensure that the Enable SIP Keep Alive message setting is enabled on the poly endpoint. The endpoint will send keep alive messages on the SIP signaling and RTP sessions. Unregistered H.323 endpoints may encounter content sharing issues, even after sharing content in the call and then stopping. This is common with Palo Alto firewalls. The firewall should be configured with the correct outgoing firewall ports for H.323, H.225, H.245, and media port range. On the endpoint, ensure that media static ports are disabled. In summary, if you experience content sharing issues, consider the following. Establish the facts. Rule out local endpoint issues, such as HDMI cable issues. On the firewall, increase UDP session timeouts, disable application filtering also known as SIP ALG, and disable SIP and H.323 inspection. On poly endpoints, enable the SIP Keep Alive feature. For unregistered H.323 endpoints, ensure the correct outbound ports for H.225, H.245, and media are open, and that static media ports are disabled. Our online documentation is available for all things Pexip Service related, including troubleshooting guidance, at help.pexip.com.